Yeah. All right, we have a few people in the waiting room. Who we got here? Tim's and Beth. All right, so we will get started. Welcome Tim and Sarah online and Bethany. All right, so
hey Connor, sorry I can't be there in person.
That's all good, you know. You're here virtually.
There's another one.
That matters. Okay. All right. So welcome to the October 25th Parks and Trails meeting. We'll take a quick roll call and get into it. So Sarah Stan.
Present.
Label present. Jean Subini.
Here.
We have online Tim Stevens.
Here.
And Sarah Hubbard.
Here.
Sweet. That means the only one missing is Bob.
Nope, he's on.
Oh, there. Oh,
Bob is here. He's on his wife's computer.
I was curious who Missy Ballard was.
There you go. Thank you.
Bob.
Looking one, a couple.
Okay.
Cool. Well, thank you. Thank you. Good to have you guys here. All right. So if anybody saw the agenda packet, you will note that it does not contain minutes again. So there are no minutes to approve. So we're flying right through our agenda for today. We have no new business this week, so we'll jump into a couple items from our old business list. I guess first off, do we want to start with Sarah? We have Sarah Schofield here from the in the in-person public side who wants to share some Rotary Club updates.
Yeah, I can
so we'll jump to item H, which is an update on Reservoir Park. Essentially,
sure.
Sarah has some
Should
stuff.
I stand at the podium?
Sure, yeah,
Okay.
let's be official about it.
Well, I think the last time I was here was, I want to say like December or January, possibly this past year.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And at that point, we had a member in our club who has since moved to, I think, North or South Carolina or something like that. Anyway, she had this idea about wanting to build a dog-friendly off-leash park. So started that's what the dialogue started as. And then when I was working with Allison, prior board member here, committee member, she had told me that you guys had started working on an idea for a dog park on the north side many years ago. And I think COVID kind of, just like with a lot of things COVID did, just kind of like put the damper on that. So so after my meeting with you guys in January, we went ahead and applied for a grant for $2,500 to match $2,500 from Rotary Club to fund a water fountain that could be placed at the designated dog park wherever the city was working, since you guys were working on that. So we have since received that grant. So now we've got $5,000 that we can use to purchase a water fountain. And we've done some research. There are these outdoor, the image is like super small. I don't know how I can get it bigger, but this is essentially what we found.
Oh, yeah.
It is an outdoor water fountain that is ADA accessible and people and dog friendly. And it's made by this manufacturer called LK, and it's available through the manufacturer, but also like a bunch of different like vendors like publicwaterfountains.com, that type of stuff. And so those prices range from like $4,200 down to like $3,800, maybe $3,500. But they are something that looks similar to some of the water fountains that we have in the city parks already. So totally fits within our budget if we can do that. If the only thing that we don't know, and we have a question for you guys, is about installation. So if that's something that the city could potentially cover the installation of that, piece of hardware, then we have a little bit more budget to either put in like, there's like a adapter kit that they highly recommend for these pedestal fountains, or is there another option out there? Like for example, when I was walking the other day, the skate park has like a water bottle thing. So they actually have water bottle fountains with also the pet bowl attached. Those are more expensive though. So what's cutting into our budget when we did the preliminary numbers was that we'd spend about $3,500, maybe $4,000 on the fountain, and then the rest would go towards paying someone to install it. But if that's something that maybe the city can roll into their, their implementation and cover that cost, then we could probably look at some more beefier options. So I guess that's where we're at right now. And then of course, we don't know where it's going to be located, but from our conversations previously, it seemed like there was water ready at the Reservoir Park site. So that would be something to.
We've actually talked to Shannon about a water fountain. In fact, he and I exchanged images at one point about different ideas for a water fountain. So it might be that our next step would be to check with Grant and just ask him if we can finalize this one aspect.
Yeah, essentially it's finalized if the city is willing to install it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the club provides the part, then
From Rotary, and then
Yeah.
approve the design and or whatever, and
right.
work with Rotary.
Were the designs that you guys were going back and forth, were they similar to this?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Great. Perfect.
Yeah, a person and a dog.
And a little person too.
Yeah.
Is it seasonal? So if you removed in the.
No, it would stay there, it would just have to be winterized.
Okay.
So I'm looking at this chart here that one of our club's members, so there was one option. It said non-refrigerated, so these are all non-refrigerated, which is fine, right? The water's cold anyway. Freeze resistant, but we could not find that model anywhere. So we couldn't get a number on that. So he had like put a note that says antifreeze, but I don't think we want to do that. It would probably be just something like we handle with all the other water fountains. Somehow there's like a direct shut off and you blow it out just like you would your sprinklers, and then you hook it up again when it's ready again.
Which would probably be a city, like.
They would manage that.
Yeah. Or an ask.
Right.
Yeah, we could just confirm like if it's not a freeze,
Right.
not a new one.
Yep.
So so obviously if you guys have so based on our research, this is what we found was, the most, And
Thank you.
and so then, I think that Rotary is basically like, it'd be nice to have a plaque there to recognize, that we, continue to help improve the city parks, and access to clean water is one of our like 6 areas of focus as an international organization. So it's not as big of a deal here in the United States as it is worldwide, but it is something that, it's nice to have access to water, especially for dogs, when you're at the dog park. So having a dog-friendly fountain for little dogs, especially that I think about, so
Yeah.
Good. Do you guys have any questions or anything?
I think Reservoir Park is a great location. That lacks amenities on the north side.
Yes.
It has water, all the places that also have water, also pretty close. We're focusing on dogs, or close to the river.
Yep.
In the Sacagawea kind of recreation hub.
Yes.
Has all the amenities. So it's really nice to think about the north side. The ball fields were like Bozeman Trail connector. I don't think that there's water.
There's not.
There. That'd be another spot, but otherwise it seems to be.
If this is something that works out, I'm happy to go back to the club and say, hey, this seems like it's a good need. Like we can maybe focus on bringing water to the north side, and maybe that's something we can kind of like take ownership of to kind of help provide the. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah.
But we do try to do you know, COVID, again, with COVID, we had like a little lull in doing activities and stuff, but, you know, we do tend to like doing projects that try to improve the public spaces. So,
Right.
yeah.
Where at Reservoir Park?
What?
Has there been any discussion about where at Reservoir Park?
I think we were looking at close to where you pull in the center part there.
Oh, yeah.
Down low. I think it was like on, I don't know if it was the right or left side.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the map would be, but we did layouts with some possible locations.
That's great.
So we'll check with Shannon, or I guess we have to go through Grant.
Well, yeah, we'll route it through to the city.
Yes, you'll push it through the system.
Great,
Okay,
thank you.
excellent.
Thanks for
And
doing
we've got
that.
time because it's snowing and.
Yes.
Oh, this is
This is gonna be like a springtime, so I just need to, for our grant program, just provide updates to them that this is being worked on. So obviously, it's because it's a seasonal type of project, I can just provide updates like that I met with you guys and that we're pushing forward.
Does Shannon does Tim or Sarah bother or anything?
Yeah, did anybody online have any thoughts or comments?
Yeah, this is Bob Ballard. The city that my wife and I moved from has just installed a water fountain, and it not only has for a water container, but a water fountain, and then essentially a dog bowl. So it's a triple. And when you were talking about, have you seen the triples?
I think that's this more expensive option that has I'll have to look because the things that we focused on were those ones, but it's described as an LK outdoor bottle water dog fountain combo. So I think that it would be an actual water fountain with a bottle filling dispenser, and so essentially a triple, like you're saying.
Yeah, I'm glad to call the park manager of the town we came from and get information on their research and what
that'd be great.
So I didn't really hear which park you're talking about. Is it the dog park now? Is that where
The Reservoir Park on the north side? There's no real infrastructure there right now, but the city is kind of exploring what the park design would look like after we put a year's worth of effort into figuring it out too. So
And there's water there.
and there's already water, they put water in.
okay, so Reservoir Park.
It's ready to go. Yeah, Reservoir Park.
Okay.
Cool. Anyone else online?
No feedback from me. That sounds great. Thanks.
Yeah, no, that's good. Just thank you, Sarah and Rotary for pulling the money together, and it's timely and it's needed. So really appreciate your work to improve the parks.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So I'll just keep being in email contact with you. Is that okay?
Yeah, I will be terming off soon, actually. So
I guess
I'll put you in touch with
Vice.
well, who is vice right now? Is it you?
Yeah.
That's Clay, but Clay's also terming off.
So is Jean.
There's Jean. So maybe I'll put you in touch with either Sarah or Tim.
Okay.
To keep things moving forward after the new year. I'll be done in December.
Okay. Perfect. So thanks everyone.
Thank you, Sarah.
Your son feels better.
Yeah.
I think so too. I hope so. Okay, you guys. Thank
Bye.
I think he's the only other person we have here, so I don't know if we wanna.
Yeah, we can skip
All right.
to, no, that's awesome. We might as well expedite people's time. All right, so we started at the bottom and now we're gonna go to the middle for weed education for Adelpot Trail participants according to the agenda. So adopt a trail weed education was something that Clay brought up a couple meetings ago and we weren't able to discuss last meeting. So we're hoping there'd be a city person here, but nonetheless, we could at least kind of have a conversation around it. And Bethany, thank you for joining to discuss this as well. So, Clay, do you want to kind of like share some basic thoughts of what we've been, what you've been kicking around, and then we can kind of open it up from there?
Yeah, sure. So Bethany and I have been meeting monthly to discuss B-City, but also various different things that we can do to support B-City. And one of those is including this education program around pull a weed, plant a seed is what we're calling it. So starting next spring, we're going to begin, first of all, rolling out a series of, and I'm just going to kind of give a broader view before I pass it over to Bethany, a broader suite of opportunities to bring more attention to B-City USA, including starting out in somewhere around late April. I'm going to write hopefully an op-ed for the Enterprise, just sort of talking about what the city is committed to, sort of kicking off not only NOMO May, but also this new designation as B-City. And then from that, we're looking at doing a webinar as well as maybe some in-person events to train the volunteers to, as they go through and pull weeds, and focusing on a few suite of plants that are the primary weeds that we have in town. We're also going to look at, can we train them to plant native wildflower seeds in place of those weeds that they planted, which I think would be a really cool opportunity. Right now, Bethany and I are trying to figure out like what the best way to do that is in terms of, which areas would work best. So there's some logistical things that we need to figure out, but I think this is going to be a really great addition to the trail cleanup, trail maintenance throughout the city. There's a lot of invasive plants, and it's just such a good opportunity to increase pollinator habitat. So Bethany, do you want to jump in and give some more detail about that?
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Nice to see y'all. So we did actually do a pull a weed, plant a seed project, kind of small rollout with the Eastside Elementary School third graders on the Sacagawea River side trail as an education event. There's already a campaign out there, Montana-wide, pull a weed or pull your share campaign is what it's called. So I kind of think of this as a spinoff on that. And we were approached by the guidance counselor at the school for wanting to do the pull your share campaign. And I told him that we were really wanting to roll out something a little bit more than that and kind of giving another level of education to, putting something back in. So hearing that you're interested in something like this potentially as an education piece for Adopt a Trail folks is really exciting. I think, knowing folks are already interested in the trail in that way is cool. And there's some other tools that could help trail adoptees and could be easy to use to help them identify and to prioritize areas. And something me and Clay will probably be using to help us prioritize projects in that capacity would be using EdMaps. It is a pretty extensive tool, but you can also use it at a basic level of just to sign up, map your weeds. If it was a trail adoptee, could map their weeds on their trail, and then they could, based on the suite of weeds they probably will have, they can identify what would be the most useful based on pooling techniques to work on and kind of focus in that way, and then planting seeds that would easily grow. And that is, a lot of what my work is going to be focused on in the next year is identifying what those seeds are through different, effectiveness monitoring techniques to identify what seeds work best in these replanting projects. But I guess I have other questions. This is me kind of guessing based on talking with Sarah of the interest. And it was for the Adopt a Trail folks. So are there any like more specific questions of what you are thinking or
One thing, Bethany, that we can discuss in our meeting tomorrow is it would be nice to sort of set aside some target goals for when we'd like to do training, whether it's like 2 training sessions, one in the spring and one in the summer, or, figure out so we can at least give the board an idea of when we might be able to have those events. I think that would be helpful.
Well, and it's, timing is a lot to figure out with weeds. If it's some sort of identification training, that would probably need to be mid-summer to late summer, where things are actually showing, and almost going into fall if we're talking about knapweed. And then for kind of planting projects, training would either need to be early spring or late fall, because those are the only times we would be able to plant seeds to be successful, or native seeds to be successful. Which, there could be a level of choosing maybe some non-natives that would grow just as, to help with kind of restoration of an area. And we could talk about that too, of, not maybe pigeonholing ourselves in only native species. If we needed to plant midsummer, there are things that would grow. That's my thoughts on that.
That's helpful. So we could potentially have like minimum of 2 training sessions, and then as many as 3 or 4, I guess, depending on what capacity we have.
One question that I have is it advisable to, maybe even look at least if we're doing some events, expand beyond the Adopt a Trail people and open it up to the broader public if we want to try and have build a little army of people who want to pull weeds, and to help them be able to identify them and pull them in the right way and treat them in the right way. Is that taking off too big of a chunk, or because I know there's plenty of trail walkers who would probably be interested and willing to help just sort of pull if they knew what species to target and how to do it right.
I think that's a really good idea, Tim. I think I wish our adoptee trail program was broader, but I think we'd be shooting ourselves in the foot if we only limited it to that group. So I'm in favor of that idea.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I almost wonder too if we have something built into like the Adopt a Trail, like requirements almost to do like a weed education. I don't know if that's going too far. Or like,
I think what we have on the application is that that's a possibility depending on the city's willingness and availability to do training, which they could designate to someone else,
right,
to do the training.
Yeah, because it feels like something that,
but it's not a requirement.
Yeah, like we could have it be like, Adopt a Trail people should be there, and then whoever else wants to be there, enjoy.
Yeah. I would say, since they're volunteers and they're already adopting a trail, that we try to incentivize folks as much as possible. So a carrot.
That's a good idea.
A carrot and a stick. Yeah. So it's.
And like I had mentioned, there's that Pull Your Share campaign, which, it's a housed project. It's very easy. You kind of click sign up. I think you pay $25 to receive a sign that's specific to that weed. And it could be part of their like, Adopt the Trail, put up this sign. It has a picture of the weed that's most, present on their trail. And it just says pull for 5 minutes, and could be an outreach for trail users. And we are doing education events through cooperative weed management area here in Park County. It has mostly been focused to landowners because that's been the interest that we've received. But that's working with the county weed district manager, the MSU Extension Ag agent, and myself to do these events. And so I know they would be interested in assisting. I don't know how many, but I definitely know they would do one. We would be able to do one and having that larger reach as well.
Cool. That's really great.
Yeah, that's cool to know they have a sign you can buy.
Do you think it's pretty straightforward, Bethany? I mean, you could do a pretty simple training on the identification, the timing, and you know, what to do, right? What's the action, I suppose? Do you think that's pretty easy to communicate to the public?
Yes, and I think as far as species specific, it would be easier to share the resource than to do a training that went through all, 15 species we have and all of the ways and timing that would be more effective. But could do an easy, like these 7 are probably what you're going to see. You had mentioned even some sort of like video training, I think would be the most accessible way to have everyone be able to watch it and say like, this is, there's a whole priority list of weeds and the way that you should think of managing them as well, and kind of just giving them a quick intro into weeds, and then showing them the resources. Like if you have Canada thistle, here's where you should look at the best way and timing to pull that. But it would be a probably long training if you went through each species we have in Park County. And
yeah. I wonder if we want to, like first of all, I love the idea of doing a webinar because we could record it and post it on the website, and that makes it so much easier to continue to share. But I wonder if we want to focus on the top 3 weeds that might be along our trails in the city as a way to really make it easy for people.
And that are best to pull.
Best to pull, yeah. And then maybe we have an advanced, course or advanced something else that people want to get further into it. Because I think spotted knapweed and, some of the other plants are so easy to identify that it just seems like that would be an interesting way to go. But
yeah, no, I agree. And you could really even just highlight almost seasonality. Like if you're doing a late spring weed pull, here's what you should focus on. And if you're doing a summer weed pull, look here. And if you're doing a fall, I mean, that would be a good way to break it down and be able to hit the timing as well.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And then just trying to, just point out you don't want things to seed, I think is the other.
That's an important question. This is one thing I'm not sure about, because if we let if we encourage everyday people to do it, people that are not on the Adopted Trail Committee, what do they do with the plants once they've pulled them? Because they can still get to seed if they just throw them down. So the question of, do we need to provide wastebasket kits or something for invasive plants? Like that's one thing that we'll have to figure out.
Couldn't we provide the trash bags like we do for the adopted trail groups and make sure they bag them and leave them at a location in the park or the end of the trail or something?
We can do that, but one thing I'm wondering is, and maybe that's the most logical thing to do. But if every day, like somebody was walking and they pulled a bunch of weeds, and then eventually there would be none left, ideally. So like having a place they could put those would be, I don't know if that's out of the question to get the city to put receptacles for that, but that's an idea. People would use them for trash cans too. It's the other problem, which could, maybe there's not the capacity to change trash bags along the roads or whatever, or the trails.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the Pull Your Share campaign suggest them to like throw it in the middle of the road, like somewhere that it's going to dry up. They suggest they like get it out of soil is the suggestion. But I think the other part is they get kids groups, school groups to come, and they provide trash cans with that. So just thinking of how you address that. I mean, it would still be pretty effective if you were to pull it out and throw it in the middle of the trail too. As long as it wasn't already seeding. It's not ideal, but like if it's in the middle of the trail, it's not going to root there. So that would be the other thought, is just to kind of give some of those tips. I mean, that goes into, there's a lot of tips for hand pulling as well.
Yeah, so maybe we could do an either or, best solution, throw it in a garbage bin, second best, throw it in the middle of the trail or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can work that out. But
and if we already approached the city about this, we did, didn't we?
Yeah, and I'd spoken with Grant about it, already, but that's been a while, so we just need to,
Okay.
yeah.
I like the idea.
Yeah, because Grant was gonna bring, bring Mike. Yeah, I think, or suggest or bring Mike to be here today so that we can have a staff voice in on what would work as far as trails, like this garbage can thing. It'd be
Yeah.
perfect for him to hear that.
To say here.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Well, thanks for working on this.
Yeah.
Clay, are you meeting with Grant sometime soon?
We should, I mean,
Stuff or anything?
yeah, I should. I mean, I haven't met with him since the BC, right before the BCDSA took place, so it's been probably 5 months since we talked about this.
Yeah,
So,
that would be
maybe
good.
I'll-
Plant the seed
Yeah.
now.
Ah,
Bethany, would you want to meet with Grant as well? Would you want the three of us to have a conversation?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. Of course, anybody else is welcome.
Cool. Thanks, Bethany.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
y'all. Let me know if you have any more questions.
See you tomorrow. If you're
See you
still up there.
tomorrow. Or Friday, right?
Oh yeah, Friday.
Wait, I'm like, wait, what's today? Friday.
Friday is my Friday. 'Cause I have, anyway, never mind. Yeah, Friday.
Guess schedule this offline. Okay. Okay, cool. Well, thank you. Any comments from online folks on this one? Yeah. I'll take that as a no. All right, and Clay, something I just made a note of too, I think it'd be good to discuss would be like, once your term, since your term ends in December, who runs with this stuff from, well, we should see what the future of the committee looks like, and then we can decide who, talk about how to manage this from a, B City side, because the committee is what owns B City and stuff.
Yeah, and that's what I wasn't sure, because obviously I still want to be a part of the committee, so I don't know how that technically works.
Shadow committee member.
I don't know.
We'll see. But I will want to like adopt a trail and B City both. We kind of own those right now. So yeah.
Yeah, that's something I could talk to Grant about. I mean, as long as it's, I don't think there's any reason a community member can't be on the committee. It's not that specific.
Right. It feels like it should be fine.
I think the question would be like, what's the process? So do we have to open it up to other people to be on, or?
I don't think so. I think if we have a project and a volunteer wants to go with it,
yeah,
I'd say go with it. It's not like we're overrun with. I mean, really, no, I mean, if it's working well and you've done the work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously if anybody else wants to be a part of it, that's great.
I think they might want to. Yeah.
Cool.
I've seen a note to Grant now.
All right. Okay. We will move along to the top of the agenda now. So working our way up. Parks and Trails Committee adoption of Bozeman Trail. So we were going to talk about this last month, but we only have 4 of us here, so we figured we'd let everyone know, chime in on it and make sure we're all in agreement with adopting it as a committee. But we had talked about this a couple of meetings ago before that last month anyways too, but yeah, I just wanted to make sure everybody was in agreement that we were good to adopt Bozeman Connector Trail, and then set a time to check in on cleanups probably, I guess would be the thing. We don't, no reason to schedule anything now because there's 6 inches of snow on the ground, but yeah, so are we all good to adopt it and as a committee say that's our trail?
I think it's a great trail to adopt and based, and especially connected to our last discussion. There's plenty of knapweed to pull there, so we can lead by example there. So I think it's a good one for us to be involved with.
So Connor, will you submit the application then?
I can submit the application. You just tell me what I need, where the application is found, and I will
It's online.
do it.
I'll send it to you.
Great.
Cool. I mean, just concerning that 3 of you aren't going to be here next year, so I don't know if you'll be involved.
I'd like to be involved still.
You'd still stay involved.
Yeah.
Just making sure that it's not just Tim adopting the trail.
Good luck, Tim.
Well, are you gonna adopt it?
Well, yes, I
She's already
have
on-
a lot of trails that I do already, so it's.
You're an unofficial mascot for Adopt a Trail, okay?
Mascot.
Take, what's one more? Jeez, Sarah. It's only
If
the longest
it's
one.
a
per
committee,
second.
I don't get paid for it because it's parks and trails,
Oh.
right? They have your conflict of interest.
Yeah, I get that.
Bob and Sarah, how do you feel online?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Great.
Cool. Sorry for your paycheck. All right, I'll submit the application and we will take it and I'll submit the application and promptly say goodbye and let you guys go.
Good luck, Stephens.
No, actually, I live like 100 yards from the trail, so please notify me when it's happening, and I will bring my dog and my children who will just throw rocks. So,
Cool.
okay, moving along to item B is an update on the open seats. This was one we need a grant for. It's not posted, none of them are posted, so I think that probably says something for the future for the committee. I don't know, I'm not sure, but we'll see.
Did you send an email asking about it? Did you get a response?
I sent an email and then I sent a follow-up email on like the agenda settings aside asking for an update, and now the grant are like sent a response.
Might be worth just a specific question about the notice on those seats, because otherwise January is going to come and we're going to be short 3 seats.
No people. Yeah, I will follow up tonight on that.
And I don't think it's just our committee that they're not noticed on, because the tree board seats aren't noticed either.
Is there discussion about future of the committee that I haven't heard about? Oh,
The resolution is still in place. That's all we know.
Yeah, last meeting, Grant said that they're revisiting committees, particularly what's tree and parks and trails.
And conservation,
Conservation.
the advisory committee.
Since we're like, yeah, we were created for a specific purpose in our resolution, and we're operating outside that purpose. So trying to figure out what our role is.
They could maybe combine planning and zoning too.
That's why we were hoping for an update
Yeah,
on where that's at.
So that was what item number E was, or item letter E was on the agenda. But
Yeah, we don't have that.
And it's a commission decision. The conservation board though reports to executive. Right?
But it's still advisory.
So you guys, we don't have, obviously, because Grant's here, we don't have an update on this topic about what the city has decided to do, or the city hasn't taken action.
I haven't seen any I haven't seen an agenda item discussing this with the commission in any further detail.
Right.
And if he had come tonight, we would have been able to get an update, but he's not.
Right. Okay. Huh. All right. That's important.
So at this point, we're just asking that these seats be noticed.
Yeah.
So that we can do the process
Just in case.
in December, make our recommendation to the commission for January.
Yeah, because we essentially need the notices to go out like now so that we can set an early December meeting to approve our.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll follow up. I'll put that as a takeaway for myself, and we'll follow up again with Grant and Emily. Any other comments on that?
Where do they get posted?
There is
What did you ask, Sarah?
Where do they get posted?
There's right on the main page of the city of Livingston webpage.
Okay.
You
Job
can,
opportunities.
yeah, and they usually post openings there.
Under job opportunities, okay.
Well,
there's
there's,
also a dedicated page for current board.
yeah.
I just texted you.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, so there are currently no open recruitments for any seats. So, it seems like it's an ongoing discussion at the grants with grants. So
Oh, interesting.
so with that, cool. We already did C, so now we'll go to item D, which is discussion to move the meeting time to 5:30. We really only have probably only one meeting left in 2023. And our future is hazy after that. So do we want to keep things at 6? And then just, yeah, what do we care to move the meeting times to 5:30?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think the only discussion last month was Grant acknowledged that would be easier for city staff and at least for him.
Yeah, because
to get to a 5:30 meeting than to go home or.
Yeah, have the awkward like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Extra 30 minutes. Yep.
I think it's a good idea, especially in winter.
Especially in winter, yeah, from September. Does it need to be changed in our bylaws?
It needs to be changed by the city commission.
Okay.
Really?
Because the resolution and the bylaws indicate what time we need.
Walk down to the hour? It's not just like
down to the minute.
Okay.
So I think
Yeah, you know,
go ahead, Tim.
No, I was gonna say I like moving it to 5:30, but I think given that there's a little bit of process there, that maybe we agree that if we do exist next year, we can go at this with gusto next year, since the city would have to take action. But since we only have one meeting left, you know, obviously we're not going to get that done between now and the end of December. But I like the idea generally of moving it to 5:30. Just makes sense to flow from work or straight to this meeting, for me at least.
We could just simply make a recommendation to the city commission that the time be changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Starting January.
Yeah. Given that we put this as a discussion item, I don't think we can vote on it today, but maybe we put that as a recommendation on.
I think you can. Can't you? Like discuss. Maybe not.
My understanding was that it wasn't labeled as like a recommendation, like line item. Didn't make a decision.
So we could put it on the next agenda as an action.
So let's just say we do our last meeting of 2023 at 6, and we'll put this as a
action.
Yeah.
Okay.
Recommendation to move meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay. Trucking right along. Any other comments on that one? I guess before we move. Cool. Well, the next 3 items, E, F, and G, were kind of needing city input. So, yeah, nothing from Grant yet on that. Item E, recommendations from the city manager. Item F, updates on the parks master plan. From my notes from last meeting, the timing of that was such that they were going to release the RFP this month in October, and then have the consultant chosen by the end of the year, planning done by the summertime new fiscal year.
And I haven't seen an RFP in the legal notices yet. So might be just delayed a bit.
Connor, did you say you did not hear back from Grant about attending this meeting, or you guys didn't get a chance to connect?
Attending this meeting, Emily called me and said that Grant was likely not going to be able to make it today.
Okay.
So, yeah, not a lot of connection, but that was the update I got.
Okay.
Okay. And then the plan budget expenditures for parks and trails. That's another one that we're going to get an update on from Grant, but no, there's no update to be had. He's not here. And there's not much we can glean from for ourselves. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Oh, the downtown master plan, as you know, like that process is underway, and the consultant's gonna be back in November. Sacagawea Park, Miles Park, and that whole complex is included in the downtown master plan. So just as a committee or members of the public and stakeholders that are interested in participating and what that looks like. And that includes, wayfinding and signs and, getting, if tourists are coming and they're at the farmer's market, that whole flow and experience of how the downtown is designed, I think is really relevant for this committee to know. There's going to be a few public meetings. I think there's going to be one with business owners, a breakfast, and then a couple other opportunities. I don't understand the process necessarily for input, but there will be an online portal for ongoing comments. So it won't just be a once-off. There was a survey that was put out, and so that's published on the website now, which is pretty interesting. Some of the responses.
That's interesting. Sacagawea, it goes all the way down to Sacagawea.
Yeah, I think all the way over to 9th Street. So, I mean, just kind of like that. So it's like a little dog leg. Yeah. Includes the schools and everything. And then if you're, pollinator habitats, clean city initiatives, and I think all that would be incorporated.
That's awesome.
Green spaces, nature-based solutions, as we're being more resilient, climate change adaptation, signage like I said before, but maybe even like walkability, bikeability, trail connectivity.
Good. That's good to know.
One other update, the new maps are in.
Oh.
And after the last meeting, I did pick up a bunch and delivered some to 2 or 3 places. So I have some at home, but the rest are all in the city offices, in the main office. So if you want some, I think Emily has them.
Yeah.
I just meant to bring some tonight and I forgot, sorry.
Okay, that's right. We'll grab some.
Cool. That's awesome. Good to see they're out.
Yeah.
Is the city still going to put up a bigger map at the kiosks?
I don't know. We should ask Grant, because remember when we talked about these maps before they have them printed, he said he could get a larger one.
Yeah.
To put in those kiosks because they look pretty small.
Embarrassingly small.
Yeah. So maybe at one of your talks with them, you can just ask if they actually ever ordered the big ones, the big maps to put in there.
How many of those do we have? What kiosk?
Up to
I think only 2, Myers Riverview Trail and Bozeman Connector Trail.
Cool.
it'd be nice to eventually have them in all the parks.
Yeah,
They're very expensive, according to Eric Schneider when he was parks foreman. They're not cheap.
The kiosks.
Yeah. But that might be something, if we were like, Tim, you sent out a bunch of fundraising material. That's a great project to try to fund, whether it's signage or these kiosks that we could then post these maps in.
Mm-hmm.
What if they're ready?
It is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Speaking of funding, did you ever talk with Grant about landmark conservation fund applications?
I did. We're not gonna go through with it right now. Maybe less.
Yeah.
And yeah, they might be able to fund some of that development off their balance sheet or off the general fund. It might not have to be a huge grant. And she expressed positivity that there's a lot of interest to develop the river park. And the geodesign consultants have provided a quote. to do another public process.
I didn't hear what this was about, sorry.
Reservoir.
Reservoir.
There. Checking on that. All right, well, that takes us to the end of our agenda. Any other board comments?
Yeah, Connor, just referencing that email that I sent around to the committee about the fundraising workshop that the Access Project's putting on. It looks like it's pretty good. It looks like they kind of know where the bodies are buried in terms of funding opportunities. So I haven't lined up the dates with my calendar yet, but hopefully we can get maybe a couple of people attending virtually or something.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I think that's a good thing to keep in mind. And you never know when one of those will come up that fits us and we can jump on.
If anybody watched the city council people running for office last night, there were at least 4 or 5 questions or comments about parks and trails, and the general census was, they're really important.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Bob. I noticed that too, and all the candidates seem to be in favor of that infrastructure. That's what I picked up. Okay.
Yep.
Thanks, Bob. All right. Well, any final comments? Yeah.
Motion adjourned.
All right. We are adjourned.
Oh.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, buddy.
Oh, wait a minute.
Thanks, everybody.
We should talk about our next meeting.
Gosh. Yes, we should.
We can't meet in November because it's the day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, should put that on the agenda. Yeah, I'll send an email around.
We had discussed it before, so you could just remind people.
Yeah,
but
something about like a week into early December. We'll have to
Yeah.
just make sure that we give 30 days at least between like we notice. No, well, back
We're going back.
to like December.
because
Back
we'll
to
want to
December.
make a recommendation on the new participants in the committee. They need 30 days once they post that.
Yeah.
Which means it's not going to come in till probably the end of November.
So we'll need to meet early December.
The first or second week of December.
That works for me.
And if we have virtual options, it will be a quick meeting.
Yeah.
So it will
Just take action on changing the time
action on
and
the
making
time
it.
and the
But who agreed to interview the candidates?
Wasn't it Tim and Sarah, since they were the only
We're the
two
only ones here.
future members on that,
Oh,
that
okay.
meeting?
Yeah.
So you'll just have to have time in early December to interview them.
Well, they can interview as they come in.
They can what?
They can interview as they get applications. So
Yeah, right.
they don't have to wait.
Well, that's true. And they could come in, yeah.
And we did have quite a few last time around. I don't know if
And we have 3 seats this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we'll
I'm
see
happy
what,
to help too if you need anybody else to help with that.
Oh, thanks, Sarah.
Sarah, appreciate that. We'll kind of, once we figure out what's happening with the applications, we'll send around next steps, and maybe you can be you 3 can kind of coordinate together on what you want to do.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah, I emailed the notes and that form to you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Clay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye.